Woof! Welcome to Monday Morning News. I'm your titular mutt, Fen, so let's get to some news. Speaking of which, good news! The fascism rounded this week is going to be quick. Bad news, that's because most of it honks. There's now National Guard from at least 5 states roving the US Capitol. And as of this morning, many will begin carrying lethal firearms, both long arms and pistols, which the Guard are not normally trained on. Oh, also, they're going to be Sig Sauer M17s and 18s. These are notable because they're the militarized version of the Sig Sauer P320s, a series of pistols with an extremely well-documented design defect that causes them to just go off on their own. Only the safest for Americans. The M17 and M18 are known to carry the design flaw, however, unlike the civilian P320, they have a physical safety catch. So one only need to hope soldiers who've only recently been certified on the M17 and 18 remember to save the pistols. And given the whole obliged to ignore illegal orders thing that they're also not recalling, better safe than sorry, y'all. The Trump administration is also activating 1,700 Guard in 19 states, likely while I read this live, presumably to establish martial law in those respective capitals as well. Those states are Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Wyoming. Notable that these are not necessarily the same 5 states that have sent troops to DC, though several of those are included. Protests are still ongoing within the district, as well as in LA and Portland, Oregon. New York, meanwhile, continues to have a perfectly normal time of it, which is to say, a longtime advisor of the current and openly corrupt New York Mayor Eric Adams, running for re-election as an independent after a crushing primary loss to Mamdani, attempted to bribe a reporter for the city on August 20th. The reporter was offered a bag of Hers chips by Miss Winnie Greco, who apparently refused to take no for an answer. The city, naturally, reported on the blatant bribery, rather suddenly highlighting the lesser-known chip brand, who made a marketing stunt of it, very positively, I might add. Mamdani himself leaned into the bit, eating from a bag of sour cream and onion Hers, while announcing his New York history scavenger hunt. Hey, we're pretty sure Leslie Knope wasn't, based on him, right? Oh, yeah, and Cuomo and Adams, both taking money from Trump donors, again, who were also supposed to run as Democrats, but when they lost their primary are now running as independents. We're really weird about the guy who isn't mayor yet doing something fun for New Yorkers. Oh, did I mention that every stop along Mamdani's scavenger hunt was on New York bus lines? Oh, I did forget the pettiest part of the story. The New York Times, the paper of record, apparently salty that the city dared scoop them, decided that it was very important to reveal this was the 3rd such bribe they'd witnessed a journalist taking. Why they felt compelled to say that, but not report on it, much less who took the bribes, I won't speculate on. On August 22nd, Southern District of Florida federal judge Kathleen Williams ordered that no new prisoners be detained at the death camp recently upgraded from a concentration camp after its first official death 2 weeks ago, known as Alligator Alcatraz. In addition, she ordered that federal and state officials must relocate those prisoners there within 60 days. Her order also required the complete removal of the camp's infrastructure begin within the same period. DeSantis, the governor of Florida, has already announced plans to appeal to the 11th Circuit. Lastly, in fascism this week, early this morning, live on TV, while crews were attempting to recover the body of Hossam al-Masri, a journalist killed in the last bombing of Nasser Hospital, Israel bombed it again, killing at least 15, though some reports are saying as many as 20, including yet more journalists. This mutt would like to remind you that less than 2 years ago, Israel lied pretending that they weren't bombing hospitals. Today, they did it on television. The technology and AI news is mostly good, aka bad for AI, but sadly not quite on the normies acknowledging the bubble way just yet. The ManyVid CEO, Bella French, has been going full AI slop gremlin on the Nazi site formerly known as Twitter. This tweet from the 20th is probably the most coherent, albeit ridiculous for a porn CEO. I'll take weird over depressing. Speaking of which, Duolingo, everyone's least favorite owl since the brand pivoted to using Gen AI, decided it was very important to join the Turf Wizard Brigade after a German lesson accurately described a Scottish bigot. On a similar note, Drop, one of those companies that make way more expensive keyboards than some of us realize exist, also decided to hop onto the ontologically tainting dick, releasing boarding school house keyboards in the year of our mutt 2025. Which also reminds me, hey, did I ever bring up that Czech Games Edition, the makers of Codenames, decided it was a good idea to announce a Harry Potter edition on Blue Sky of all places? Well, that also happened about 2 weeks ago. They've since issued a "we're sorry you felt that way" non-apology, but I couldn't let them sneak by on that, so. In other AI news, Bell, the multi-billion-dollar telecommunications giant with an effective monopoly in Ontario and Quebec, hosted an AI photo booth at Fan Expo Canada this last weekend. The booth is technically in the esports section, as Bell is the sponsor for the esports area, but just on the edge of Artist Alley. Notable because artists who take part at fan expos will be removed if they're found to be plagiarizing or stealing others' works, including use of generative AI. Though, of course, that didn't seem to apply to Bell. Artists in attendance organized an impromptu protest before Bell and the Metro Toronto Convention Centre, not Fan Expo, called the police to intimidate protesters who were told to disperse or be fined up to $5,000 for causing mischief. Convention Center staff continued to press for the removal of the protesters, while Fan Expo staff, especially those assigned to Artist Alley, defended them. Bell has stated they paid an artist to design the images and backgrounds, but still used Stable Diffusion to assemble their slop amalgams, seemingly misunderstanding how their own systems work. Fan Expo claimed to have no knowledge of Bell's intentions, saying they only knew that it would have a few activations at their booth. Similar to the fascism news roundup, trans news this week is largely in horror and vigil. I'm sorry, folks. First up, the Rainbow Crosswalk, painted in memorial of the Pulse nightclub massacre on June 12, 2016, has been repainted black and white by Florida state officials twice. The first was on August 21st, before being repainted by Orlando residents. State officials returned on Sunday to deface the memorial once again. In D.C., Alice Correa Barbosa, a Brazilian trans woman, was taken by ICE, who eventually cited a 3-year-old pot charge out of Texas, which she's notably been waiting for a response on, as reason enough to oblige her to either self-deport at great personal expense, or be sent to a men's concentration camp implicitly to be raped to death. Similarly, Ciara Watkins, a trans woman out of the UK, was tried and rather summarily found guilty of sexual assault for the crime of having sex while trans. That may sound like a joke, but while Ciara's face is being dragged across the headlines and her lawyer built their entire defense around Miss Watkins' clockiness, resulting in half the defense testimony being outright insulting and dehumanizing to Miss Watkins, her accuser remains anonymous. The UK found Miss Watkins guilty of sexual assault because she did not outright tell this anonymous man she was trans before giving him a blowjob. I stress for my cis viewers, this is not just a genocide, though yes, your trans friends face genocide and you owe it to them to acknowledge it. But it is an epistemicide, the deletion of our knowledge from society. At least I can sneak some jokes into the culture section, though. On Thursday, after 7 years of apparently crunchless development, Silksong's release date was announced. For those who are somehow unaware, it's September 4th, and per Jason Schreier's investigative report, it took so long because Team Cherry, all 3 to 5 of them at any given time, were having fun making the game. Damn, I love when folks get to give their art the time it deserves. On the opposite end of that, Gamescom was this weekend, and the main takeaway, speed. Multiple companies hyped investors up with their Gen AI developmental pipelines, claiming to have reduced development time for a new game to 2.5 years, apparently having failed to learn the lesson of Call of Duty Ghosts from 2013. Oh, and failing to learn the lesson of their own con a few days earlier. Before the show even started, Gamescom had to issue an apology for their AI networking tool, which claimed it would match attendees with potentially useful contacts. It instead blasted everyone's inboxes with meeting requests for every single moment of the con, before being rolled back and hopefully having its data center plunged into the Dead Sea. A Sekiro anime was also announced, and within about 2 hours it was revealed to be mega cursed. The studio making it, whose name is difficult to pronounce on purpose, I assume, Qzil, Qzil period LA, has proudly announced that their 2026 project, unnamed, was 60% made with generative AI. Of course, that doesn't for sure mean the Sekiro anime. They've actually since claimed that there's no generative AI in the Sekiro anime. It could actually just mean some of the slop that they make with Akumi is 60% AI. Oh, who are Akumi? Oh, Akumi, well, they're an LA-based Web3 company, NFT grifters, who partnered with Qzil on their last anime. Oh, they also just launched Akumi Studio, a new disruptive animation house in tandem with Qzil's parent company, Komisma, and Xenotunes to produce Web3 and generative AI anime. We got our first look at another Mega Pokemon this week as well, and boy does Mega Victory Bell raise an extremely important question. Can autoerotic asphyxiation coexist with Vor? The answer, apparently, yes, but only if you're a plant monster, so read HTG if that's for you. Lastly, over the weekend, a French kick streamer, Jean Pormanov, died during a torturous 298-hour stream where viewers tipped to see Pormanov assaulted and sleep-deprived. This has been the streamer's shtick for some time, and he and his co-streamers, who most often performed the abuse on him, have claimed it was all staged. However, last year, Mediapart, a leftist newspaper out of France, also known in gamer circles for revealing David Cage and Quantic Dream were nightmares to work for on a par with Blizzard, published an expose on Pormanov. It led, like many Mediapart articles, to a still ongoing criminal investigation, specifically into Jean's health, wellness, and fitness to determine whether he's being abused. Was being abused. And let's not forget that the CEO of the gambling-focused streaming site, Ed Craven, was the 5th highest donor to the Lethal stream. It's bad out there, folks, but we can make it better. Thank you very much for staying with me and staying informed however you can. Remember to do your dailies. There we go. Got to point at them in the right direction. Remember to check out stoppaypros.neocities.org to learn how to fight censorship for only a few phone calls a day or letters a week. A couple of last-minute additional stories to add. These are unscripted, so apologies ahead of time. First of all, over on Blue Sky, it was discovered where exactly the fun new shiny gold appliques that have magically appeared all over the Trump Oval Office came from. It turns out they're $5 Temu appliques dipped in gold paint, as is rather appropriate for the American dictator. In much more depressing news, on Friday evening, it was revealed that Kilmar Albrego Garcia was yet again going to be arrested by ICE. He was given a 72-hour warning ahead of time, which was required by law, though notably, the court case that brought him back to the US after he was illegally shipped to a foreign country very specifically noted that weekends and federal holidays did not count for his 72-hour warning. He was arrested 5 minutes ago at time of recording. 72 hours notice does not include Saturdays, Sundays, and federal holidays. So, for example, assuming no federal holidays, if defendants were provided notice on Friday at 10 a.m., defendants shall not commence removal until the following Wednesday at 10 a.m. Abrego Garcia initially asked this court to bar removal to a third country absent further court order of this court, ECF number 203 at 1. Given defendants have not yet commenced any proceedings against Abrego Garcia, such relief is premature. However, the court will not hesitate to revise the request if defendants fail to comply with this order or otherwise attempt to remove Abrego Garcia from the United States without due process, which they just did. Thank you all so very much for joining me for the third Monday morning news, which is the least depressing way I can put all of that. As a reminder, you can support all of my work over at patreon.com/fen, coffee.com/fen, as well as over at fen.gay. You can also find me over on Blue Sky at fen.gay. And if you're watching this on YouTube, check the link below. I have a whole bunch of them, but included in there is the Discord, and every Monday night we run movie nights. Tonight we're doing the Digimon movie followed by Summer Wars. If you're not aware of why that's funny, you should come check out. It should be a lot of fun. As a reminder, this stream is also brought to you by amazing support of folks just like you. So thank you very much to April, Fragile Paper, Manfred, Pinball Witch, Pimento, and Yalk. I literally could not do this without all of you. So thank you very much. See you on Thursday.